towards the cooperation of the other UN members to see a fast and effective solution to the situation on the ground. So at this point, I look forward for more contributions from the fellow delegates. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, the Secretary General of the Arab League. We appreciate your contribution. Now next, we invite Arab League envoy to Syria to give the contribution. Welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Chairman and my colleagues, I take this time to give a report on the situation in Syria. And as everyone knows, my mission to Syria is to negotiate peace and end the violence that has been there for almost over 1 year right now. And I must say that to take you through a little bit of what I have done in Syria, on the 12th of April this year, I met with His Excellency, the President of Syria, and the opposition party, and together we agreed on a ceasefire about whatever that's going on in Syria. And I had a peace plan that I tabled with them, which includes the following: that the government should withdraw its heavy weapons from the cities in Syria that they use for the war. Both sides then to end the violence and begin the dialogue between them. The government is to release those that have been detained because of war. Humanitarian agencies to be allowed to go in and help those that need help. And lastly, to allow people in Syria to protest peacefully without being harassed or killed. Now, this has not taken into effect. The killings are still going on, and the unrest is still going on in Syria. And if this continues, then we are looking at a civil war that may come soon if it doesn't cease. With the above agreement, there still continues to be violence, especially in the towns of Homs and Houla, that has left a lot of casualties and a large number of civilians, women and children, that are trapped in these towns that I'm negotiating for the evacuation right now. I am greatly concerned about the shelling in Homs and the massacre that took place in Houla region. It's an appalling situation that has profound consequences with it. And it has to come to my attention that the entire military air defense base in Rastan, north of Homs, has defected, and this military has taken all their weapons with them. And these arms may fall into the hands of the militiamen and possibly end up in the global arms market. These weapons include sophisticated surface and air missiles, as well as chemical and biological weapons. The security of these weapons is of a concern to all of us and even to the international community. As we know, hundreds or thousands of Syrians are internally displaced right now. Alongside with that, there's a widespread of allegations of human rights abuses of all kinds in Syria. And if the president will not implement all the points of the peace agreement that we tabled in April, we are looking at war that may not be very good, and that's not the reason why we're here, and why I negotiating this, he must make a bold step immediately to radically change his military posture and honor his commitment to withdraw heavy weapons and cease the violence in Syria. What is important is not his words, but his actions that he should take at the moment. My message of peace is not only to the government of Syria, but to everyone who has a gun. If there are any options on the table for further steps from the UN Security Council, I will say bravo to them and support them. Meanwhile, my team is working on with both parties, that is the government and the opposition, to make a bold move while also nagging the various opposition groups to create some sort of umbrella group that could allow them to define a common approach and vision for the future of Syria. So they would be ready to enter into any talks that might start in the future. On the other hand, Syria's talks are underway to explore if regional and global actors might be able to agree to a proposed mechanism. So far, I am encouraged by the private conversations I have had with some key players that I feel that harmony and logic must be achieved among these three rings of conflict, that is domestic, national, and international. I'm therefore inviting governments that are represented in this meeting today that have influence on Syria to raise the bar to another level, to the highest level possible that they can, and twist arms if necessary to get the parties to implement the peace plan. I also do believe that more sanctions are an essential part of a political situation that we have at hand. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Madam, representative of the Arab League, envoy to Syria. Now at this moment, the floor is open for member states to make their contributions, and we'll try as much as possible to maintain our contribution to 5 minutes in terms of time. For some members who, as we speak right now, are directly involved and have a larger stake in the matter, we might give them a little bit more of space in terms of time. Thank you so much. The floor is open to member states. Kenya.
Distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, we'd like to appreciate this opportunity to make our contribution to this special session of the General Assembly. First and foremost, the government of the Republic of Kenya supports the calling of this session in terms of voicing our opinions in the crisis of Syria.
Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the Republic of Chile sympathizes with the people of Syria in their struggle to enhance democracy in their country. In this context, the Republic of Chile hereby informs all rulers and presidents, all kings and queens, all representatives of people across the world, that suppression of the people's demands for good governance is an idea of the past and is certainly doomed to fail. Chile, therefore, calls upon the authorities in Syria to give room for the establishment of a pluralistic and democratic Syria governed by the rule of law. Further, the Republic of Chile strongly condemns the grave and massive violations of human rights that have happened in Syria for the last 1 year. And Chile also supports the call by the United Nations Human Rights Commissioner for an expedient end to the hostilities that have led to widespread suffering upon the people of Chile. upon the people of Syria. Chile denounces the acts of human rights violations such as torture, sexual violence, persecution of protesters and journalists, murder and arbitrary detention as crimes against humanity, and demands that through the United Nations system, all those responsible should be brought to justice. Chile would wish to see a Syria without any harassment, especially against children and women. We remind the international community that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Noting that peace is the only stable pillar upon which any nation can build, the Republic of Chile calls upon the parties to the dispute in Syria to give dialogue a chance. Chile demands that armed personnel should no longer be used to suppress demonstrators in Syria. We also affirm the right of the people of Syria to express themselves in search for democratic justice. We call upon the United Nations to support the efforts of the UN Arab League envoy to Syria in restoring peace in Syria. Considering that the instability in Syria threatens the peace of the international community, we also call upon the Security Council to enforce sanctions against individuals who will be found to be personally responsible for the violence. Chile therefore calls upon Syria to abide by its obligations under international law and demands that the government, in line with the 2nd November 2011 Action Plan of the League of Arab States and its decisions of 22nd January and 12th February 2012, without delay, stop all violence and protect its people. Release all those detained during the unrest, withdraw all armed forces from cities and towns, guarantee peaceful demonstrations, and allow unhindered access for Arab League monitors and international media. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Member Representative of Chile. Now we look at Syria.
Thank you, Mr. President, for giving us a chance to tell you the truth and to give you the facts. Many have spoken, but they have only given rumors. As people of Syria, we believe in democracy and we believe in the rule of law. In our constitution, in the preamble, we have our goals. That is unity, freedom, and socialism. And we are guided by the rules and laws of democracy. For us, freedom is not only a right, but is a sacred right. That is in our constitution. You can check with us Article 2 of our constitution. And in that freedom, which is sacred, we are guided by popular democracy. And that is the democracy that our people decide on our leaders. Our current president is a president of the people. And as a president who came to power by power of the vote, which our oppositions do not have. They do not have the power of vote. We do have it. We, as part of the Arab nation, work and struggle to achieve unity. Can the opposition do that? No, they cannot do. And also, we believe that it is the government that ensures the security. Those that we have arrested, they're not fighting for the good cause. They're not Democrats. They're rebels. They're terrorists. They're thugs. And we will not allow that for the security of our people. Therefore, the Human Watch, Human Rights Watch, the observers are not going to rule us. We are going to rule our own destiny. And this is what we are going to do. We rest our case. Nobody has a case against us because we have the facts as the government. that what has been said is not what is happening on the ground. This is a domestic problem, and our military force, our military personnel are ready, and we are not going to leave anybody to create a situation of violence. We are going to deal with them by law and by our constitution. Allah is the greatest, and we fear no one, and we will rule our destiny. It is our right of self-determination, not forces from outside. Thank you, Mr. President.
The members we've been trying to present will follow the order for the next three. The first one is Sudan. The other one will be Germany, followed by Germany, and then Mozambique. I think we follow that order. Sudan.
Thank you, Mr. President. Your Excellencies and all protocols observed. The previous speaker may have raised the issue of an elected leadership, but before the Republic of Sudan makes a presentation on its position, would just want the members to ponder on the idea of elected leadership if the candidate on the ballot is just one and the options are a yes and no. Does that, honorable members, amount to democracy? Food for thought. Now, on this very special session of the United General Assembly meeting to discuss the Arab Spring with special reference to the situation in Syria, the Republic of Sudan is deeply concerned with the deteriorating situation in Syria. No less than 14,500 have reportedly lost their lives in the ongoing impasse. The horror events unfold under the watch of about 300 military observers and another 100 civilian observers. The situation cannot be allowed to continue as it slowly and surely is turning into a genocide. The Kabir, Marzaf, and Deraa town massacres are the latest episodes of these heartbreaking stories. This clearly demonstrates a government that has lost its sense of directions and preoccupies itself with survival tactics to wriggle itself out of its obligations. Further afield, there lie lessons to be drawn from. The upheavals in Tunisia recently, Egypt, Libya, Yemen, Bahrain, and now Syria should have provided the Arab community with a forward defense against the crisis that is being witnessed today in Syria. Absent this, we, the neighbors and friends of Syria, hold as much responsibility to see that the deep differences are ironed out in an acceptable manner that occasions minimum, if at all, human life. The Sudan, having acceded to the provisions of the Arab League in January this year, receded its view that the events in Syria are part of an international conspiracy. And now, Mr. President, the Sudan strongly would like to present its newly found position. Accordingly, the Sudan now aligns itself with the Arab League position on this very sensitive yet urgent matter of Syria. Sudan, therefore, fully supports the League's, that is the Arab League's, introduction of economic sanctions against President Bashar al-Assad's regime, which has failed to deliver the basic requirements of an elected leadership. In its place, the Sudan sides with the League's proposal to transfer power to an interim president and a cabinet, to an interim president and a cabinet until elections are held in a period not exceeding 6 months from the date of transfer. The Sudan regrets decisions by China and Russia to veto the United Nations Security Council resolution that would have called for an express calling of Assad's stand down and a possible military intervention, should that be necessary. Further, Khartoum wishes to see full cooperation and implementation of the Kofi Annan brokered 6-point peace plan in letter and in spirit. Khartoum shall, however, continue to maintain its ambassadorial relations with Damascus as it believes the crisis is within a solutions touching distance. Finally, the Sudan urges the international community to accord Syria all the necessary supports as it works through these very difficult moments in its history. Thank you.
I want to say that the High Commissioner of the Syrian cannot mislead this House by saying that we are acting on rumors. While on April 14th to 16th, the UN High Commission of Human Rights, or the UN Resolution 2042, sent observers, that is the UN High Commission of Human Rights, Navi Pillay, marked the death toll at more than 5,000 when she briefed the UN Security Council in early December. Between 26th December 2011, they said that when independent monitors mandated by the Arab League arrived in Syria on 10th January 2012, there were at least 400 deaths. According to the UN Secretary General for Political Affairs, B. Lane Pascoe, though the death toll continued to increase with ongoing violence in the months that were following, the UN stopped releasing estimates in January 2012, given the growing difficulty to verify casualties. And because of the crisis in Syria, the Germans have responded differently to the situation. The German government and their partners believe that by choosing the path of repression, President Assad can no longer legitimately lead Syria into the future. And by stepping down, he would clear the path for fresh start needed in Syrian politics. And we welcome these words also from our American president and my colleague there. In an international context, the German government is working to see the violence on the part of Syrian regime finally ends. The people of Syria have a right to live in peace, to freedom of opinion, and to respect for their basic human rights and civil rights. The German government, therefore, is also working hard with the partners to expand the EU sanctions against Syria. In Germany's view, this should also include the energy sector. At the urging of Germany and its partners, the UN Security Council will deal with the situation in Syria. Following Germany's initiative, a special session of the UN Human Rights Council was planned on Syria, in Geneva. Thank you so much.
The next member is Mozambique.
The government of Mozambique strongly condemns the killing of men, women, and children in the Syrian village of El Haule. We wish to extend our sincere and heartfelt condolences to all the families of the victims of the horrific tragedy, and we extend our solidarity to all the people of Syria in this difficult times. The government of Mozambique believes that all those responsible for these horrific killings and criminal acts of violence must be held accountable. We support a thorough and immediate investigation into these killings with the full involvement of the United Nations Supervision Mission in Syria and the Commission of Inquiry established by the Human Rights Council. It remains imperative that the use of violence by all parties in Syria immediately cease and that stability returns to the country. Mozambique believes that the 6-point peace plan for Syria, as presented by Joint Special Envoy Mr. Kofi Annan, presents an opportunity to resolve this conflict in an all-inclusive and legitimate manner. Every effort possible should be made to support and ensure the implementation of this plan, and no action should be taken to jeopardize its successful implementation. Lastly, the government of Mozambique strongly urges all parties to the conflict in Syria to cease the use of any form of violence and commit to the peaceful resolution of the conflict. We would have preferred that the outcome of this special session be adopted by consensus to send a clear message of our joint commitment against the use of violence in Syria. It is our view that the opportunity for sustainable peace in the region